What's up, all my Power Addicts crew? Today's video, we're on Project Rust Bucket, and today we're going to be dropping the gas tank. In some of my past fuel tank videos, I showed you guys how to check, fix, repair, whatever your fuel gauge and how the little fuel sending unit works. I'll put a link down below to that video. I also created a fuel tank related video on how to make an easy access plate to your fuel pump. Drop your fuel tank one time, replace your pump, or fix your fuel gauge, whatever it is you have to do. Cut your access plate, cover it, put your fuel tank back up. You'll never have to drop your fuel tank again because of that easy access plate. Works wonders. Got one in my rig right here. Love it. So I'll put a link below in the description where you guys can check out that video. If this is your first time on Power Addicts YouTube channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. So I do Jeep videos, car videos, motorcycle videos, tool videos, fabrication. I probably shouldn't be fooling with videos. But yeah, you should subscribe so you don't miss anything. So after all that's being said, let's get on to pulling this fuel tank. What do you think? So where do you access your bolts to the fuel tank? Here's where your bumper, your rear cross member brace, whatever. For those people who have those funky little bumper rests, they'll be bolted right there. And leaf springs right there. You've got from free for roll. Bolts come across here, there, there. Let's go under the Jeep. Okay, I'm dealing with the camera for a second. Down here, here, oh, and there. And one right there. I can't reach it. Right there. Kind of blended in because of all the rust. Now, because of all the rust on this rig, this may be a video on how to remove a gas tank, or this may be a video on how not to remove a gas tank. We are about to find out. So let's see if we get lucky enough to get those bolts out. Now, a little hint before you get started on this. Be sure you've got as little gas in this thing as possible. I probably only got like maybe 2 gallons of gas in this thing, because whenever I took it to get the emissions test, here in this county in Tennessee, we have to do emissions testing. Whether you drive through, they stick a probe up the tailpipe, and they sniff the exhaust emissions and make sure you're burning clean. And believe it or not, this old rusty rig did absolutely phenomenal. I had no idea. I mean, I knew it ran good, but I had no idea that it was going to pass emissions that well. It was really super cool. So, be sure you get as much fuel as possible out of that tank to make it as light as possible. Now, one of the things you got to figure out how you're going to work with is where the hoses go for your fuel, where you fill up at, and this is your vent hose. So what I'm looking at here is these are pretty easy access here for the clamps, versus those are turned around totally backwards. I didn't get her to see. Those are turned around totally backwards, darn near impossible to reach. So those are pretty easy access. I'll probably take those loose, bend, collapse the hose upon itself so I don't get no junk inside there. That's my thought for the moment. So that's what I'll probably do first. Hopefully that clamp cooperates. Now once you get those hoses loosened up, push them back to where you can get access into the hoses. Now normally this is where, if your hoses were in good shape, get you some channel locks and just kind of grab hold of them lightly, just kind of twist and rotate them, they'll break loose. But this is so rusted and crusted, and not to mention the hoses are absolutely done for. The dry rot is so bad. I'm not even gonna fuss with trying to do this the proper way. And to be honest with you, if you're gonna go as far as dropping the gas tank, go ahead and pick up a couple new hoses, because it can only benefit you. I mean, these rigs are old. This one's a 93, my other one's a 91, and you know, these, after all those years of taking out fuel, these things aren't gonna be in good shape anyway, so it's always good to replace them anyway. So takes you the blade. We're just gonna split that right through there, and split this one right through there, and we'll take them off. One thing that's very important to point out: disconnect your battery, because after all, you're messing with gas, explosive fumes. And also you got electricals back there for your gauge, for your fuel pump and all that. So the last thing you need is a spark whenever you're messing with a fuel tank. That would really result into some bad situations, you know? disconnect that battery, get to work. Okay, before you worry about getting the jack underneath the skid plate to support the weight of the tank coming down, just go ahead and get your bolts broken loose. I think, find out. I'm really expecting to break several. And what you want to do is bring it down till you can bring like the nuts can be flush with the end of the bolt here. Pay attention, you can see the tank starting to drop just by taking these bolts out. And notice how I'm taking them out. I'll let this one come down a little bit, then I'll let this one come down a little bit, just kind of work my way across. Because what you've got is these bolts are up inside this bumper piece right here. They're kind of a carriage style bolt, I guess, to where once you get so loose, if you push the bolt up inside the bumper, the whole bolt starts turning. So what you want to do is use the weight of the tank into your favor. Take this one out a little bit, next one out a little bit, next one out a little bit, so on and so on as you go across. You'll get a effect to where the tank skid plate is dropping down, keeping those bolts extended and pressed inside the bumper. So it's helping hold that bolt in place for me. If you try to take one all the way out, then one all the way out, you're just going to start fussing and cussing and you get nowhere fast. So let that one go a little bit. And honestly, it doesn't hurt if you take a couple of them completely out. That's still, this one's out. This, yeah, I thought there was supposed to be one over there, apparently not. That one's all the way out. That right there is just there. It's got a little bit more to go. That one is about flush with the end of the bolt. Back this off a little more. These I wasn't sweating too bad as to whether or not they're going to be hard. The ones under right there, the one that goes follow the skid plate and up by the rear diff, yeah, those I got a feeling are going to be very interesting. Because first time I dropped the tank on my 91, I twisted two of them completely in two. Thought, oh, I don't want to take that completely out yet. Stay. Stay. See, now this was tight again because of the weight pulling down on the tank. It stopped right there. That was kind of recessed up inside there. That one actually went a little too far on because that one's only got like 2 threads holding it. It's not going to fall, so don't get all, oh my gosh. This right here is going to hold it regardless. The tank skid is pretty rough shape, but it's going to support everything. So now what we need to do is go under the Jeep by the rear diff and look at those bolts and see what we got to do to get them out of there. Now what we got here is up top we've got a 1/2 inch and this is 1/2 inch. Now whether this is the factory bolts or not is yet to be determined, because honestly I'm not 100% sure that they are. Nonetheless, you're going to have a wrench up top and a socket on bottom and using an extension to get down past this tank and all this. And yes, I got on my glasses to keep the rust out of my eyes. So this right here came loose. The rest of them I haven't tried yet, but what you want to try to do is get underneath there and test which ones may break, which ones may stay. And this right here is being cooperative, so I'm going to leave that one. I've got maybe, if I can feel it here, I got about 1/4 inch of thread sticking out from the top of the nut. So I'm going to go to this one and this one down here, So I'm expecting something to twist in two because of all the rust. Then I got that one right there. And see which ones break, which ones don't. If they don't break, that's fine. If they do, I really don't care one way or another, because I'm not using the skid, and I darn sure ain't using the bolts. But what my goal is, if I got one, which is right, seems like it's going to be my cooperative one, to support the weight of the tank while I take out the rest of them, that's going to give me what I need to take and put the jack underneath the tank to support the weight. Take out the last bolt, then I can use the jack to set the tank down. Make sense? But you want to set it down slow, which you'll see in a little bit, because right there, here's where all your fuel line, your wires, and all that stuff going to the top of your tank. And you may or may not have that much room in yours because this thing's got that body lift under it, which I am taking all that body lift out of this one. Oh, little trick. See how I've got my wrench positioned? Now when I take the bolt, it's turning this way to take it out, which turns the wrench inward like this. It bottoms out against the upper side of the tank. So therefore the wrench is actually holding the nut up here for me. So little trick tip. So you guys see what I'm doing. I don't have the room under here for the camera and working both. So leaving this one intact, leaving this one in place to support weight. The rest of them, I'm going to try to take them completely out. And I'll be honest with you, hopefully, I'm really hoping I break them in two. It's going to be less work. So, taking these out, leaving that one in place to support the weight. Now, I changed my mind on which bolt I was going to leave in because this one right here was like super cooperative. It's actually really easy to turn. And so, I elected to leave that one in to hold the weight of the tank up and take the rest of them out. And honestly, I didn't twist a single bolt in two. I was really surprised. I was really expecting to start breaking stuff. So that was supporting weight. I got one up front supporting weight. So now I'm going to take the jack, go under the skid plate, pick it up, take the weight off, and then I'm going to come back under, start taking the bolts out, and then set the tank down. So I'll set the camera up that you guys watch. And what you got here, if you pay attention to the skid plate, you got a ridge here, ridges over there, and right here in the middle, it kind of goes flat, drops down like this, comes back up. That's about the middle of the tank. So to help support the tank evenly, kind of put your jack foot right there, or jack pad, I should say, right there to help support it. And so what I should be able to do at this point is take out the rest of the bolts, and hopefully it comes out easily. We'll find out. Moment of truth. Oops. Forgot one. Well, the skid plate dropped. I ain't so sure about the tank. We got to figure out what it's hanging on now. Now I'm looking to see why the tank didn't come down. I'm not really going to put any pressure on it, it's just more of it not dropping really suddenly. Now here's where your fuel lines connect, all your electricals, vent tube. So now we gotta get the screwdriver so to get these off and get all this stuff out of there. So you don't mess up anything on your sending unit. Right there is the plug where you want to disconnect your fuel tank. If I can reach it, there we go. That's part of what was holding the tank, apparently. Yuck, rust. And the tank's just kind of riding at the moment. And I had to fish these through to get them out. So now it's like I can go ahead and set the tank down, because I believe the only thing that's going to be pulling is the vent tube. What happened, the tank should, as it comes down, teeter this way to an extent. Tilt, whatever that word is. Alright, there's your vent. And so I can pull that line up there. Or not. Ah, there it goes. Which frees the tank to slide outward, so you can get a flat screwdriver and get your fuel lines off. Boy, that plate's seen better days, hasn't it? I'm not once I get through cutting and modifying stuff like that, I'm not 100% sure I'm just going to reuse this tank, but I'm not going to get rid of it just yet. So, anyway, enough the gabbing. I'm going to get them hoses up there. Now, just to give you a heads up too, whenever you start releasing the hoses, if it's still under pressure, it's going to shoot a big stream out. That's when you know that the check valve that's inside the fuel pump and all that stuff is doing its job. It's maintaining pressure in the fuel lines. This one does a great job at holding its pressure, but my 91 does not. I know somebody's going to chime in, well, you got a bad fuel pump or your check valve's bad. No, dude, it's not. Simply because I put a new fuel pump, I put all that new stuff in it, and guess what? It just still doesn't hold pressure. It doesn't have the check valve. So anyway, long story short, get those hose clamps off and pull the hoses off the fittings, and the tank will be out. I want to point something out to you guys. Here's one of the biggest issues you'll find with the fuel pumps on the YJs. That right there is the ground wire, which used to be attached right there. Even brand new pumps that come, well, the pump's actually downside there, but the sending unit system or cluster or this gadget here, whatever, even new ones have an issue with that ground breaking loose on them. So yeah, if you've got no gauge, no pump, right there's going to be your culprit about 99% of the time. Those things break so easily, even the new ones do. And this right here, I just got it off. I moved the harness a little bit like straight here, just, you know, here, and all of a sudden it popped right up. So that thing was about to break at any point in time. Another thing to mention that wasn't hooked up on this thing, which I have seen this a time or two, is the tank strap. Here's your skid plate. This thing hooks into these slots here and comes over into this hole here. Well, again, obviously the pump and tank and all this has been out of the same once before, and none of this stuff was hooked up, which is pretty common, honestly. Not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying it's common because what most people end up not doing, or they don't want to do, they got this rubber padding right here that's the cushions the tank inside the skid plate. They just hit the tank back inside here, says, you know, take this in here, screw that, I ain't doing that. They throw it out of the way and, well, lay the tank in there and let it rip, just bolt it back up to the bottom of it, and that's done. But if you got pull, you don't. If you're just changing the fuel pump, you don't have to take those straps out because they just kind of lap over the tank. But if you need to, you know, the bolts is actually coming through the bottom of the skid right here, and this is the end right here that bolts to your back cross member. I feel like I'd be doing you guys an injustice if I didn't go ahead and pull the pump out and let you guys see it. Now what you may notice here is we got the bolts here, 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 here. We got 1, 2, 3 missing. Okay, we take, so 9/32 seconds, I think. Yeah, 9/32 socket or metric equivalent, whatever. That one's officially stripped. This may not be good. Seriously. And that one's stuck. Oh crap. May have to strain this gas out if I want to reuse it in something. Use it more. hopefully, yeah, I think we're gonna be able to pull this thing out. What I should have done is taken my airline, blow this sucker off, minimize the chance of getting trash down in the tank. Yeah, looks like I may be in for another tank because those bolts have broke off down in the inside there. Put my safety glasses on, got rust line. Come on, man. Let me zoom back on you a little bit. Okay, whenever you say, I gotta put a new fuel pump in, that is this new fuel pump. This is all the sending unit stuff here. This is your gas gauge float. This is your fuel comes in here through the sock, pushes through the fuel tank, goes up through this fuel line right here, goes up to the motor, sprays out the injectors, but the injectors doesn't use all the gas that the pump sends forward. So what it does, it comes back on your return line. This here is your return line, which forces it back out here. So your gas kind of does a circle. It goes in through the pump here, up the fuel line, through the front of the Jeep. Injector sprays it. Whatever the injectors do not use comes back to the return line and comes back here. So that's how that works in a nutshell. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little major pointer here. It's an important one at that. Whenever you put new fuel pumps in these things, you'll get a piece of fuel line here with the pump. Most of the time you do. That piece of fuel line is always too short that I've ever seen. So what you want to do is get another piece of fuel line that is going to be a smidget too long. You mount the pump in place, push the little piece of fuel line on here. You'll have to bend, because this tube actually comes down to about right along in here. So what you need is the fuel line to be long enough that you got to bend it, put it on the end of this pressure line, and force it up. Let's see. Let me find my screwdriver. Heck, I'll just take it apart and show you. Because this is obviously a new fuel pump in this. I need some pliers or something. Just sprayed with gas. Okay, fuel pump, the hose that normally comes with the fuel pump, when you slide down on the part of the pump here, the hose that comes with the pump, when you slide down on there, you can put your clamp on. It only comes to about right here, that the hose that comes with the pump, whenever the hose does come with the pump in the new one, the hose only stops about right there, which is absolutely too short. Because what happens is once the pump goes under pressure and it's pushing fuel up to the injectors, this hose goes under pressure, it'll pop off. Next thing you know, this pump ain't doing nothing but spraying fuel inside the tank, and nothing is making it toward the front. I had that happen one time. So what you got to do is get another piece of fuel line that is too long, because you notice this fuel line here is bottomed out on the pump, and it actually is too long to fit here, which is good, because what you would do at that point, put your clamps in place there, and you want to position your clamps to where they're easily accessible. Turn this one around this way, push them all the way down so that you can flex your hose, flex your fuel line, put it up on there right there, and let it force. You see how it kind of fed itself up there, because technically this is a smidget too long. It's always going to have forward pressure up on this. So then tighten your clamps back up, your fuel pump's installed. So get your new fuel pump. If it comes with a piece of fuel line, get you another piece of fuel line, because you don't want to use the one that comes with the pump. And also look at the crud inside this filter sock right here. Get you a new sock right here. They're only like $5-8, if even that. Get you a new pickup screen, because it will save your pump. You know, I was hoping for an opportunity to show you guys how to drop a gas tank in one of these YJs, because mine has the fuel pump access plate cut into it. Therefore, I don't have to drop the tank on mine. And like I said, I'll link a video down below. Put the link to the video down below in the description so you guys can check that out. Be sure that whenever you go to drop your tank, get as much fuel out of it as possible, because that will really help you, because you don't have to deal with all that weight coming down. It's easier to control that way. Get a new sock for your filter if you're replacing the filter. Get that extra piece of fuel line that's a little bit longer, and it shouldn't be too bad for you. Put a jack underneath it to bring the pump, bring the tank down slowly so you can control it. It's not that bad, really isn't. So everyone, if you got a little something out of that video, hit me with that thumbs up down below. And if it's the first time on Power Addicts YouTube channel, be sure to subscribe, because I got lots of cool videos, and I've got the build of this rig right here in process. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of the build videos or any of the cool tips I give you guys. Also, give me some comments down below what you think. Have you ever had to drop your fuel tank? Was it a pain? Tell me about it. So everyone, I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Peace out. Later, y'all.